Did you know that 90% of people abandon a book within the first few pages? Shocking, right? And it's not just books, movies and shows lose viewers just as quickly. The reason? Weak stories. Ideas that start strong but don't expand in interesting ways quickly lose their power. But here's the good news. You can learn how to make any idea explode into a full, captivating story. It's not magic, it's strategy. In this article, we're going to show you how to take a tiny spark of inspiration and turn it into a compelling, multi-layered narrative. We'll dive into strategies you can start using right now, like how to nurture raw ideas, create rich subplots, and add twists that will keep your audience hooked. Whether you're a beginner writer or an experienced storyteller, these tips will help you unlock your true potential and keep people reading, watching, or listening all the way through. Ready to turn your ideas into unforgettable stories? Let's get started. Chapter 1: The Seedling Stage. Nurturing raw ideas. Every great story begins as a small idea, a seed waiting to grow. The challenge is to recognize those moments of inspiration and capture them before they slip away. Often, the best ideas come when you least expect them. A casual conversation, a passing thought, or something you overhear on the street. To nurture these raw ideas, keep a notebook or a digital note-taking app handy. You never know when inspiration will strike. Research from the University of California found that memory is most receptive during moments of spontaneity. In other words, when you're least focused on writing, your mind is more likely to come up with ideas. The trick is to catch them at their most fleeting. Once you've captured your idea, expand it by asking simple questions. What happens next? Who does this affect? Why does it matter? These basic inquiries help open doors to deeper layers. For example, if your idea is about a person finding a lost wallet, ask, what kind of person would lose it? What's inside the wallet? What would happen if the finder kept it? A great way to build on your seedling idea is through free writing. Set a timer for 10-15 minutes and write everything that comes to mind about your idea. No filter, just let your imagination flow. This technique is proven to unlock hidden layers in your concept, as the famous author Anne Lamott points out in her book Bird by Bird. Write first, edit later. Chapter 2: The Mind Map Method. Visualizing your story's DNA. Once you have your initial idea, it's time to map it out. The mind map method is one of the best ways to expand your idea visually. Instead of writing everything down in a linear fashion, create a web of interconnected thoughts, themes, and potential plot points. This strategy is powerful because it taps into your brain's natural tendency to connect ideas. Start by writing your core idea in the center of a page. Draw branches that radiate outward, each representing a different element of your story: characters, settings, events, or conflicts. As you brainstorm, new connections will form, and your story will begin to take shape. Mind mapping can also help you spot gaps in your story. If one branch is too thin or disconnected, that's a signal to develop it further. This method helps ensure you're not leaving any loose ends. Studies have shown that mind mapping activates both the creative and logical sides of the brain, which is why it's such an effective tool for writers. Neil Gaiman, in his book Make Good Art, said, "The process of writing is a process of discovery." By mapping out your story, you'll discover things about your idea you hadn't considered before. You'll realize what works, what doesn't, and what needs more thought. Plus, it's a visual method that makes it easy to spot new opportunities and angles. Remember, don't limit yourself when mapping. If your mind takes a sharp turn, follow it. Let the map evolve and grow. Over time, this exercise will help you build a more intricate and well-rounded story. Chapter 3: Transforming what if into why not. Turning a simple what if into a gripping narrative can help you uncover the true potential of your idea. The what if question allows you to stretch your creativity, ask tough questions, and challenge the boundaries of that concept. It's a tool used by many great writers, including J.K. Rowling, who famously said, "I don't believe in writer's block. I believe in what if." When you ask, what if, you're pushing the limits of possibility. For example, if your initial idea is about a man getting lost in a city, ask yourself, what if he couldn't remember how he got there? What if the city was unfamiliar, yet strangely familiar? What if he met people who claimed to know him but he had no memory of them? Turning a simple question like this into a story opens up a world of possibilities. By exploring multiple what-if scenarios, you'll find your characters and plot gaining complexity. It challenges you to dig deeper into the human experience, allowing you to create something both unique and relatable. Take inspiration from The Twilight Zone, a show built entirely on what-if questions. The idea of exploring alternate realities or bizarre circumstances became the foundation for hundreds of gripping episodes. The key is to ask questions that feel fresh but still resonate with universal themes. One of the most important things to remember when expanding your idea through what if is to keep challenging yourself. Don't settle for easy answers. Push your imagination to its limits. And when things get tough, ask yourself, why not? That's the moment when the best ideas begin to emerge. If you found this chapter helpful, don't forget to subscribe to keep learning more tips on expanding your story ideas. Chapter 4, The Ripple Effect, exploring story subplots and layers. A story isn't just about a main plot, it's also about everything that surrounds it. The ripple effect strategy helps you expand your idea by adding layers of complexity through subplots. Think of the main plot as the center of a pond. The subplots are the ripples that spread out and impact everything around them. Subplots give you a chance to explore different facets of your characters, their motivations, and their relationships. A strong subplot will not only support your main plot but also enrich it. According to writing expert Robert McKee in Story, subplots reveal different aspects of a character's personality and can show the impact of the main conflict on the world outside the central storyline. For example, if your main plot revolves around a character who wants to start a new life, a subplot could explore their struggles with a toxic relationship. As the main plot unfolds, the subplot adds emotional depth and complexity, showing how personal issues affect major decisions. This technique creates a story world that feels full and realistic. It's important to balance your subplots carefully. Too many can dilute the main story, but just the right amount can create a sense of richness. A survey by the New York Times found that the best stories often include 3 to 5 subplots, each impacting the main narrative in different ways. As you develop your subplots, ask yourself how they connect back to the main idea, ensuring everything feels purposeful. Chapter 5, The Sensory Overload, weaving detail into your story. Details make a story feel alive. The sensory overload strategy encourages you to think beyond visual descriptions and incorporate all 5 senses into your writing. The more sensory detail you can include, the more immersive your story becomes. Research shows that stories with vivid sensory details are more memorable. A study from Psychology Today found that people remember stories with sensory details much better than those that are more vague or abstract. This is because the brain processes sensory information deeply, making the experience more tangible and engaging. When you expand your idea into a full story, think about how your characters experience the world. What do they see, hear, smell, taste, and touch? For instance, instead of just saying, "The city was loud," describe the honking cars, the chatter of strangers, the smell of hot dogs on street corners, and the sticky heat of the pavement. These small touches transform a flat scene into a vibrant, immersive one. This doesn't mean overloading your reader with every sensory detail in every scene. Instead, pick moments that are important to your character's emotional state or the atmosphere you're trying to create. In the book Thief by Marcus Zusak, author Marcus Zusak uses sensory details to make the devastation of war feel tangible. The sky was like a soup of anger. It's these details that turn an idea into a compelling, emotionally resonant story. Chapter 6, The Dynamic Twist, how to expand through conflict. Every story needs conflict. Without it, there's no tension, no growth, and no journey. The dynamic twist strategy shows you how to expand an idea by introducing layers of conflict, whether internal, external, or relational, that keep the plot moving forward and your audience hooked. Conflict is what drives characters to make decisions, face challenges, and change. As you expand your story, think about how each conflict pushes the narrative in new directions. The key is to avoid predictable patterns. Instead, introduce unexpected twists that shake up your characters' worlds and create moments of surprise. Think about the classic twist in The Sixth Sense, where the revelation about Bruce Willis' character completely changes the narrative. A well-timed twist not only shocks the audience but also deepens the emotional impact of the story. As author Stephen King writes in On Writing, the most important thing in storytelling is not what you know, but what you don't know. A good twist can take your idea to a whole new level. Conflict doesn't always have to come from outside forces. Often, the most compelling conflict is internal. A character who is struggling with doubt, guilt, or fear can create a deeply personal story. Internal conflict allows you to dive deep into your character's psyche, exploring their motives and weaknesses. This kind of conflict can add layers of depth, making your character more complex and relatable. Additionally, relational conflict is just as important. It's the tension between characters, whether it's between a hero and a villain, friends, or family, that drives much of the drama in stories. The friction in relationships brings out the best, and worst, in people, which is what keeps readers turning the pages. Don't forget to subscribe for more writing tips, and keep exploring how to turn your ideas into unforgettable stories.